I want to take a couple minutes here with you today to really talk about and explore, do you know how much 1 hour of your time is worth? Now, there are a lot of, theoretical things that we can dive into, but I just want to talk super pragmatically about this, especially if you are a small business owner, right? If you're an entrepreneur and you basically own your time and run your own business. Often when I meet other entrepreneurs and ask them, we'll get to talking, I'll be like, hey, do you happen to know? You don't have to give me the answer. I'm not trying to, pry, but do you know how much money you actually make for every hour that you are working in your business? And most entrepreneurs do not have this answer because usually we're too busy planning bigger picture. We're thinking about, year-long revenues, all of that. So I've got great news for you. I'm going to be sharing with you here today how you can get just a fun free tool that I have created. I'm going to demo it for you here in just a minute that will help you really understand how much money do you make per hour. But then there are a couple other ways that you can use this fun hourly rate calculator tool. So here's one of the reasons when I want to share an example of why I created this tool and why it is incredibly important. All right. Now, if you are in the, let's say, digital online space as your own business owner, oftentimes you hear a lot of entrepreneurs sharing their results about the money that they made from a particular event or even over a particular year, right? You'll see people celebrating, oh, I just launched this new thing and I had a quote 6-figure launch, right? Like we brought in $100,000 of revenue and everyone applauds this. But my question is always like, my response is usually, so what? And the reason why I want to say so what is, who cares how much revenue you generated? What I want to know is how much of that revenue do you actually get to keep? And then how much time did you spend on it to really understand, was it worth it? So, for example, let's say someone advertises, oh, I had this great $100,000 launch. And then if they went in and really looked at the data, by the time they spent money on, contractors or people doing work for them to support it, maybe they even spent ads, like they, paid for marketing in it, maybe they were paying affiliates, etc. It might be that of that $100,000, maybe only 20,000 of it was actual profit. And that's not that uncommon. So then if you say, okay, well, I made 20,000, that's still great. Well, now we need to really ask, well, how much time did you spend on that event, right? Maybe it was something massive. Like I hold a huge event in October called the Planapalooza event, and we start prepping for that 6 months ahead of time, right? So maybe there was an event where this person's like, yeah, I spent 3 months at about 40 hours a week, like chipping away at that. Well, when we understand that information and know, hey, that means you worked about 520 hours, what that means was that $100,000 launch in that scenario equated to that business owner making $38 an hour of their time. Now, I'm not here to say that's good or that's bad, but it's powerful information to know because maybe there are other things that you can be or are spending time on that are producing far better results in terms of how much money you're actually earning per hour, right? Understanding our hourly rate as a small business owner is critical. And it's interesting that it's not something that's usually talked about because when I think back to my corporate life, right? Or if you were to go get hired by someone, one of the conversations is how much money am I getting paid and how much are you expecting me to work? Because we want to know how much am I making an hour, right? Even just think about minimum wage. That's what is your hourly rate. This is a standard in terms of how we're valuing our time. Yet as small business owners, we often absolutely ignore it and don't even think about it. So if you're watching this, I'd love for you to put in the chat here, do you know if you're a small business owner, what your hourly rate is? Now, if you've been following me for a while, chances are you might say yes, because you've learned how to calculate it before. And this is exactly why I've created this hourly rate calculator tool that I'm going to show you how you can use it and then where you can go grab your own copy completely for free, because this is just something I'm passionate about. Now, as a time management and planning expert, you might be wondering, why are you even talking about this, Megan? Well, if you own your own business, knowing what your hourly rate is a key input into supporting your planning and how you manage your time. These two things are so tightly integrated. So, for example, once you start to focus on your hourly rate, it starts to shift your focus on profitability, not just revenue, which is something we have to have when we're actually doing our planning as a responsible business owner. Now, the other thing that understanding your hourly rate is going to help you with in terms of planning is it helps you start to get clarity around what are certain tasks, projects, etc., that it makes great sense for you to potentially outsource. So, for example, let's say you realize you're making about $75 an hour, and there's some work that you're doing that you know someone else could do that maybe you could hire out for $15 an hour. Well, knowing that difference is going to help you feel really empowered to make good choices about what you outsource. Now, closely connected to that, it's also going to help you make really good choices on what you say yes to and what you say no to, right? It's going to help you with those boundaries. And boundaries are one of the 9 key components that I teach when it comes to planning, managing, and controlling our time, right? So knowing this hourly rate is really powerful. Now I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and show you this tool so you can see it in action. And then I want to share with you a couple different ways that you can use this. It's not necessarily just helpful for understanding what your currently hourly rate is. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here, and you'll be able to kind of see what this hourly rate tool looks like. And all you need to do is know 3 key pieces of information to put in here. So the very first number that you are going to enter when you get your own copy of this, I've got a link below, or you can just go to megansummerall.com/calculator. All right, this is how you can get your hands on it. Just put in your email address, and then I'll send an email over to you with a link to download your own copy of this hourly rate calculator tool. All right. So the first thing that you're going to plug in is about how many hours do you work each week. So you might, and often as business owners, if you are ramping up in business, you may say, well, realistically, I probably work about 45 hours a week. And then you're going to answer, how many weeks do you work each year? Now, you might just back into it and say, okay, well, about how many weeks do I take off, right? Maybe you take a week off for Christmas. Maybe you take a week off around fall sometime, maybe a week off at spring break, a week for summer, whatever it may be. So again, this number will be uniquely yours. Let's say you take about 5 weeks off the year. So now it's going to automatically calculate for you how many hours you work per year. Now you have to come in here and say, how much do I pay myself each month? Now this is tricky because there's 2 ways you can use this. You can decide to put your post-tax or pre-tax. No wrong way to do it. Just make sure you're understanding what number you're plugging in here. So on average, how much do you pay yourself per month out of your business? So let's say right now you're paying yourself $4,000 a month. That's what you are putting in your bank account as your form of salary or income for the business. Now, what it's going to now calculate for you is it's going to show you, hey, you're making about $48,000 a year. And given the amount of hours you're working, this is now telling you that you're making $22.70 an hour. Now, again, this number is neither good nor bad. Only you get to decide, does that hit your goals, your dreams, your desires, right? But understanding that is so incredibly important to help you understand what you need to say yes to, what you need to say no to. Are there areas for outsourcing? All of that kind of information, right? Now, for most people newer in business, when I was tracking this new in business, my hourly rate was very, very low. So, brand new business owner. But now I want to show you another way that you can use this calculator that's really, really fun. So maybe you're at this scenario where you're realizing, hey, this is what I'm making. I'm making about $22, $23 an hour. Now I want you to go back and clear those numbers out and start to think about, what do I desire, right? What do I want to be making? Or what do I want my lifestyle to be like? So maybe you're realizing, you know what? I really only want to work 30 hours a week. I don't want to work any more than that, right? Maybe you're thinking, gosh, I really want to take a lot of time off. I want to have complete control over my calendar. I love to travel. I want to take vacation, whatever that may be for you. And so you're realizing I actually only want to work 40 weeks of the year, meaning I want to take a good 12 weeks off, right? Now ask yourself, how much do I desire to pay myself every month for this business or for however it is that I'm spending my time? And maybe when you're honest, you tell yourself, you know what? I actually would like to make $10,000 a month. All right. There's, again, no right or wrong answer here. Play with it, dream big, have some fun. Now, what this is going to show you now your hourly rate has jumped up to $100 an hour. All right. So this is a really fun tool that you can use both to track your actuals, or instead, you can also use this to come in and then start doing some dreaming, right? And I'm going to go ahead and put in the comments here the link where if you click on that, you just plug in your email address, and I'm going to send you over your own copy of this hourly rate calculator tool so that you can start to play around with that. Now, I want to give you one final tip. Maybe you're newer in business, or maybe you've been around for a while and you don't like what you see as the actual number for your hourly rate. All right. And maybe you go through the exercise I just showed you where we mapped out what we desire, how many hours a week I want to work, how many weeks a year, how much I really want to make from this. And now you've landed on your desired hourly rate. Well, what I encourage you to do is to ask yourself, what do I need to start doing today to behave as if I'm someone who's making that hourly rate, right? Instead of saying, I'm just going to keep running as fast as I can until I get there. Instead, embrace that. So in scenario 1, we showed $22 an hour. In scenario 2, we showed $100 an hour. I would encourage you to step into today and every other day after this as if you are making $100 an hour. Make decisions about your time, your tasks, where your energy is going, what you're choosing to outsource versus not, based on that, because that's going to set you up so much better for success and growth, right? I have a challenge for myself every single year to lower the amount of hours I work, to work less hours than the year before while increasing my hourly rate, which means I have to have exceptionally good planning skills, time management skills, boundaries, an amazing team, which thankfully I have here at the Pink Bee to support all of that. So I can't express enough how important it is to know the number and then use it to empower you. So again, if you want to go ahead and grab your own copy of the hourly rate calculator tool, it's going to give you your own copy. I can't see it and see how you're playing with it. Again, I've got a link here in the chat. Just go to megansumrell.com/calculator. I've also got the link here in the description of the video, and have some fun with it. All right, have a great rest of your week.